the Suburban Witch here, and today we're going to talk about introducing kids to witchcraft. Now I'm going to talk about this from an ethical and moral standpoint, from a practical standpoint, like how do you actually do this, whether it's right or wrong, that sort of thing, and just some tips for what I've done with my own daughter. Now I'm coming at this from the viewpoint of someone who was raised as a Christian, is now a witch, and I have a 3-year-old daughter. Okay, so that's the lens that I'm going to give this to you. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm not saying this is what everyone should do, but it's just what I'm doing, and I hope that some of this information can help you as well. Let's start with talking about whether it's right or wrong. Now, if you are a witch or practicing witchcraft or paganism or any of those spiritual crafts, even if you don't call yourself a witch but you are spiritual and you meditate or use crystals and that sort of thing, you need to ask yourself, is this something that I believe in? Is this a way of life that I think is true and right? And if so, then I see no problem introducing children to it. If there's a part of you that thinks there's something wrong about it, well, then that's when you've got to ask yourself if it's something even you should be doing. So there's a little bit of self-reflection that comes with it. Myself, I see my craft and my spirituality as an absolute blessing. I think it is fantastic. I do a lot of self-reflection. I do a lot of, time by myself, goal setting and using meditation and being really clear on what I want to achieve and that sort of thing. And I think all of those skills are fantastic for anyone. I use, a lot of nature in what I do. I have a really good working knowledge of herbs and the earth and, the other side. So, where we go when we die, and all of these things bring me comfort, and I'm sure they will help my daughter as well and give her lots of things that she can lean on. So things like crystals, I use crystals when I'm having trouble sleeping or if I'm feeling upset. There's certain crystals I will gravitate towards and I will just hold, and that makes me feel good. And I've noticed she has done the same. So I see no problem in giving her the same coping skills that I've taught myself through my craft. And I think it's only going to better her and her development as well. Now, the tough part here is those of us who were brought up Christian. Generally, we were taught that witchcraft is bad, witchcraft is evil, this is not a good example for a child. These are sort of the things you're going to have to grapple with. And you need to, again, ask yourself, was Christianity the best thing for me as a child? Even if it wasn't, which for me it wasn't, even if it wasn't, am I still a capable adult? Have I been able to make my own decisions now? Yes, I have. And your child can do the same. You need to give them the tools and the knowledge that you have, teach them the way that you live, and then when they are older, they can choose whether they stay with that or choose something else. And you need to be open-minded with that as well. If they decide to go and become a born-again Christian or convert to Judaism or anything else, any other religion, you need to be okay with that as well. That's the caveat that I put on all of this. It is their life and their choice, and spirituality can never be placed on someone. You can teach it to them, and if they like it and gel with it when they're older and question it and still like it, that's great. But remember, children all over the world are brought up with their parents' ideas, ideologies, and spiritual sides. And if you're hiding this from your child, then there's probably a reason that you're feeling guilt or shame somewhere inside, and you need to work on that. There should be no guilt or shame in the way that you practice your spirituality. Now let's talk some practical tips. Firstly, crystals are a fantastic way to get your child introduced to the ideas of what you use, if you use them yourself. Kids love crystals, and who doesn't? They're beautiful. I'm going to show you my daughter's crystal collection, kept in her beautiful Dora bag. It changes handbags most days, sometimes goes into a bucket, but she always has them with her. Oh, goodness. Now, some of the crystals that she has, I'm just going to pull them out, and you can see the types that I've given her and the types that she's picked as well, and the ones that aren't really crystals but she still likes, and that's okay. I'm going to get through all the frozen lip glosses and everything else. Goodness me, she's 3. Alright, so my daughter, whose name is Aurelia, she decided to pick one of these crystals one day, which is an angel aura crystal. Super pretty. So kids love any of the heat treated ones. Any crystal that's called aura, so angel aura, for example, this is a white quartz that's been heat treated, and that gives it that beautiful like rainbow sheen to it. It just makes it really pretty. Nothing wrong with that. Amethyst. Amethyst is great for kids, and this one is a little bit faded. She's had it on the windowsill, I'm pretty sure, but she pops this under her pillow and she says this one keeps the dreams away. So that's really good for her, and it's gentle. Now this one, this is a dyed Brazilian, and I just dropped one, a dyed Brazilian agate. Okay, so this is a dyed crystal. It's not something I would use personally, but hey, she's a kid and she thinks it's pretty, and that's totally fine. Some of the other things she carries around. A blue glass bead. It's just glass. She calls it a crystal. That's fine. And a little blue, I don't even know what that is, a little rock that's been painted blue. Doesn't matter. She likes it, and she sits with them and holds them, and they bring her comfort, and she plays with them, and I let her. Now, one thing to keep in mind, depending on the age of your child, is, whether it's choking size and that sort of thing, and, how progressed your child is developmentally in terms of trusting them with those crystals. I give her a lot of free space and a lot of trust, but I know what she's like, and she's very clever, so I'm fine with her having these, but you need to judge that on your own child. Carnelian, that was the one that just rolled off. So a lot of the crystals she's picked up are very gentle, even, very good stones for children. The other one I've got for her is a labradorite, which is really great for kids. It's, again, gentle crystal, great to pop in their room, and really good for keeping their pineal gland clear as well. This is my altar space. This is out for anyone to see in my study space, my sacred space, where I do my work. And you can see, I've got oils, I've got crystals, I have candles, I have pictures of my ancestors, I have herbs and teas, and if we swing around to this side, you can see a bunch of herbs and then books and things as well. So all of those are there for her. She goes up, she touches them, she'll turn on the salt lamp, she puts on my jewelry, she looks at my tarot cards. None of it is scary to her. All of it is interesting. It's just like a shelf in our home, right? She's going, oh, what's this? And sometimes I find Lego up there, and sometimes I find Barbie handbags and all sorts of things. I go, that's not where I put it. But to her, this is just a really cool shelf that Mum has. We put on incense together. She'll pick up some of the sprays that I have, like Florida water, and she wants to be sprayed with them. If she has, bad dreams or nightmares at night, she'll ask me to get the spray for her. And I've not told her that. She has, intuitively known that that's going to help cleanse her and keep her safe and protected as well. So for me, I'm very proud of all of that, and I think it's great to just keep it natural and open, and she can ask questions, and she doesn't have to do anything with it, but if she wants to, she can. Now I'm going to talk about the tarot. Some people feel a bit funny having the tarot cards around children. I don't. There is nothing inherently evil about a tarot card. It is a piece of paper with a picture on it, okay? Some of the pictures can be a little bit like, oh, what's going on there? But to a kid, that doesn't mean anything. Like, they don't really understand that we have a heart inside and what it all means, That stuff we're putting onto them. So I'm going to show you one of the little things I do with her. Sometimes she walks into my room and she sits down and she goes, I'm the mummy, you're the lady. And she tries to pull some cards, and it's so cute because she'll pull one and go, oh, interesting, and then put it back. And then she gets bored, she's 3, and she'll run off and go do something else. But what we sometimes do, which is really fun, and I'm just going to pick, let's say, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 cards here. Knight of Wands. Let's just say you can start a story. So, once upon a time, there was a knight, and this knight was on a mission to go and slay the dragon and rescue the princess. But along his way, he got caught in a trap and hung upside down from a tree. He couldn't get down, no matter how hard he tried, and he just had to wait there for someone to come and rescue him. One day, finally, someone came and chopped him down from the tree and said, go on your way, fair knight, rescue that princess. And by the time he got there, he was old and she was old, but he got her out from that tower. They walked home. It was the middle of winter. They got married and they lived happily ever after, even though they were really old. Like, that is all just a random story from 3 cards, right? Using the images. So that's a really fun way you can introduce your kids to it, by telling stories. A side note from the kids stuff is you can use this yourself to write a story. You can say, okay, I have a character, if you're a writer. The character I want to create, how about they have, okay, they're a bit smug. All right, I'm going to write that into their character. They're going to be a smug character. All right, and they think they're in control of everything. Smug, controlling. Okay, this is giving us a little bit of a picture. Oh, but underneath they're really sensitive, and they don't seem to make any relationships last. Everything is just a new relationship, and it just gets, falls off when people realize how shallow they are. You can go through the cards and start to pull out things to create stories. It's a really fun way to use tarot cards. They don't have to be just used for divination. You can also do things like buy the tarot colouring book. I know that Teresa Reed, the tarot lady, she sells a tarot colouring book, which can be good for kids that are a little bit older that might want to be interested in it. Some tarot decks are, the cat tarot deck, and you've got all sorts of kooky ones. There's a unicorn tarot deck. Those would be great when your kids finally ask if they want their own tarot cards. You can gift them something like that. It's really happy and light, or you can just let them choose what they want for themselves. So I don't think tarot is bad at all for kids to use or get involved with. When it comes to actual witchcraft in kids, the only thing I would be cautious of is some of the occult teachings, just because a lot of those include graphic content and sexual content, and none of that is necessary or needed for children. Any form of blood magic or sex magic, again, totally off the table. Do not talk about it, and just as you would in normal conversation. You're not going to have a topic about sex with your child in everyday conversation, so just keep those same rules throughout everything. With your spiritual practice, you don't need to force them to sit down and meditate with you or do any of that. I think that gets to a point where it's a little bit too much. But if they see you meditating and they want to come and sit with you and close their eyes, that's fine. That's great. But yeah, just don't force them to do anything that they want to do. If they're interested, keep an open door policy. And I think that's the way to go about it with children. There's nothing wrong with them being curious, and there's nothing wrong with you showing them those sorts of things. I even let her, she'll come in and want to light a candle, and we'll, pop it on a little plate, especially on special occasions. So Mother's Day, we light one for her great-grandmother, and on the anniversary of her death, and on her birthday as well. So that's something we all do together. We light that for her grandmother, for her pawpaw, which is grandma in Chinese, and we light that and sit there and we think about her, and we might talk about stories about her, and that's a really great way of getting almost an ancestral practice involved as well. So there's some really beautiful things you can bring in. And just on the topic of things like intuition and nature, so if you're more nature based and that sort of thing, take them outside and let them choose sticks and things to bring inside that they might want to put on a shelf or in a special bag. She does that all the time. I think most kids do. It's actually really beautiful. Whilst I'm a green witch and I like herbs and herbalism and that sort of thing, I don't, go around hugging trees. That's not my style. I know it is for some people, but it's for my daughter. I've caught her kissing trees, and it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. And she'll go up to a tree. We actually went for a walk, and she went up to a tree. She put her hand on it, and it was all black. She put her hand on it, and she said, "Mummy, somebody lit a fire here at night time, and the tree got hurt." Like, oh my gosh, that is her tuning into the tree's energy and interpreting that for me. And I don't think she'd ever seen a tree that had been burnt before, or what charcoal, what it looks like on a tree. So that was really incredible for me and eye-opening for me. And she'll do this a lot. She'll, go out and say, "Oh, Mummy, this plant's name is blah, blah, blah." And I don't know if she's giving the plant a name or if it's telling her a name, but I'm going to nurture that and, let that evolve, rather than what a lot of non-spiritual parents would do, which is, don't be silly, trees don't have names. That sort of thing. I'm never dismissive. She tells me something, even if it's something I don't believe, that's fine. She used to have nightmares that butterflies would come into her room at night. And I know that a lot of spirits and spirit team and those sorts of things can sometimes change the way they appear so that they're not scary. Butterflies are typically not scary. She was still scared. And so we had to work on telling those butterflies, "Don't come in, I'm scared." And I don't know if this was a dream or this was just something she was saying, but I believe her, because that's my job as a mum, to believe what she says. If she doesn't think I believe her, she'll never come to me for anything. So you've got to keep those lines of communication open. And just make sure I pop lots of things in her room to keep her safe and protected as well. So if you're doing a lot of work with spirits and you're not comfortable with your protection practices, or you're not used to those, maybe be a little bit wary there. Any sort of necromantic work, maybe a little bit, you don't want to be inviting a poltergeist into your home. It hasn't happened for me. I think that was literally just like her spirit team potentially checking in, or ancestors, and she didn't understand it, she didn't like it, and now it's gone. But you just need to judge those things based on your own practice and your own skill level as well. And if you're not sure about something, then maybe don't do it whilst you've got the kids at home. But that, all in all, is my way of introducing kids to witchcraft and letting them get involved and join you with things. And of course, it's age dependent. The older they are, the more interested they might be or might not be. And you just need to go with them and what they're doing, and don't force them to do anything. So I hope this helped you. Please let me know in the comments if you have any specific questions. I'm happy to answer them in another video. I'm happy to do more content like this. Just let me know if you have any ideas and I'll add it to my content list. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.